Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to discuss the CMS Medicare Learning Network. My name is Karen Curtis, and I'm a Provider Outreach and Education Specialist here at WPS. Today, I am joined by my friend and coworker, Bailey Lawson. Bailey will be monitoring the chat for questions, as well as providing you with some additional information and links. Now, I do have just a couple of things to cover before we get started. First, if you haven't downloaded a copy of today's presentation and you would like to, there is still time. A copy can be found in our live events page, which is located within the WPS Training Center. Here you're also going to find a list of our upcoming events, and Bailey's going to add a link in the chat just in case you need to get there quickly. Our training center also contains a web page for our encore presentations. Videos are available for up to 90 days and can be watched on our web page without having to go to YouTube. We know that some of you may not be able to access YouTube with your company computer, and we want you to be able to receive the education that interests you. Each encore is posted with a link that will allow you to download a copy of the presentation, and you also will be given a chance to complete a survey and provide feedback. Today's presentation is being recorded, and if there are no technical issues, then we will get this posted out to our website soon. Later, there will be a question and answer session. If there's anything that I need to go back, maybe do some more research for you, then I'll kind of research it and I'll send something out to everybody in attendance later. Also, I do plan on going out to the MLN website. So if there's something specific that you are looking for, that you want to see if it's out there, put that in the chat and I'll see if I can find something while we're out there looking around. Our goal is to provide you with an excellent customer experience. We want to know how we're doing, so later on in the presentation, you will be given the opportunity to provide feedback on today's event. This is your chance to let us know what we're doing right, let us know if you feel there are areas where we can improve, and it also allows you to give us input on what types of education you would like to see in the future. While this is a CMS survey, WPS does look at our results, and we do our best to make the improvements that you ask for. Now here I'm providing you with a copy of our disclaimer. I do need to let you know that CMS does prohibit the recording of this webinar. We are recording the event so it can be posted to our webpage and YouTube channel, so there really would be no reason for you to record it. But we will get that out there shortly. So today I'm going to go over the CMS Medicare Learning Network website. I'll tell you what can be found on the website, and then we'll go out and we'll do some navigation. So let's start out by talking about what the CMS Medicare Learning Network is. The Medicare Learning Network, or MLN, is the CMS official source of education material and resources for Medicare fee-for-service providers. The information found here is based on CMS programs, policies, and initiatives. The products found on the MLN website are meant to help billers, coders, suppliers, and healthcare professionals keep up with new or revised Medicare policies, which can reduce billing errors and expedite payment. Now, before we go too deep into the website, I want to talk about the types of information that can be found out there. So the actual MLN website is broken into sections or categories. Here I've kind of provided an overview of what can be found, and we'll look at all of these when we go out to the website. Now, the first category or section that you'll see is resources and training. And this is further broken down into publications and media, web-based training, and MLN Matters articles. News is where CMS posts their weekly newsletter for Medicare providers. The compliance provides resources to help avoid common errors. Here you can also find links to the Comprehensive Error Rate Testing or CERT Outreach and Education Task Force. Partnerships are for national health organizations who partner with CMS to share MLN content with their members. Now, before we go to the website, I'm going to provide a little bit more details about these categories. The publications and media, it has educational resources. They're listed by sortable columns, so you can sort by date, topic, title, and format. Formats can be tools, booklets, fact sheets, guides, or videos. Topics that are out there include coding, evaluation and management, provider compliance, as well as some others. And I do know that many members of the PO team have referenced these materials in the webinars. I personally have used the Medicare Preventive Services education tool in many of my webinars. As a resource for billing, I know that if you guys have seen with Mary Muko, I know she uses some. Ellen Barra would use some for evaluation and management. So there is a lot out there, and we do use those. They are very good material, I feel. The web-based training provides course links for self-paced learning, and while CMS does not issue continuing education units, you can check with your organization to see if they will offer credit. Topics range from Medicare basics to coding guidance. We'll take a look at some of those later too. The MLN Matters articles are used to communicate new or updated Medicare policies and procedures. These transmittals or change requests provide information related to coverage, billing, payment, and compliance. You can find when these changes or updates were issued. They have implementation dates out there. If there's a provider education associated with the change or update, you can find that there. Many of these articles provide links to the official change request. So if that's something that you're interested in looking at, you can find that there also. The news section contains the MLN Connects newsletters. And for those of you who didn't know, CMS does create a weekly newsletter. It contains announcements and updates, press releases, claims processing information, and educational events for fee-for-service providers. You can subscribe and receive a weekly email. We'll kind of take a look at that later when we get out there. The compliance section is broken down into provider compliance and the CERT Outreach and Education Task Force. Provider compliance contains links to the CERT Task Force, as well as a link to the Provider Compliance Tips Education Tool. This tool offers tips for meeting medical necessity requirements for items and services, so we will take a look at that. The CERT Task Force link provides resources and training in an effort to provide consistent information related to Medicare Part A and Part B error rates. The Provider Customer Service Program, which is out there, includes a MAX Provider Outreach and Education team, the Provider Contact Center, and the Provider Self-Service Technology. Here you're going to find links to different MAX websites, secure portals, and mailing lists. You'll also have the opportunity to provide feedback about your specific MAC via email. They have links out there for that. The section of the MLN website is for national organizations. So these organizations agree to receive the weekly MLN Connects newsletter and share that information with their members. CMS is currently partnered with 227 organizations, some of which include the American Academy of Professional Coders, the National Association of Community Health Centers, and the American Medical Billing Association. We will take a look at that also, just in case you are wondering, if one of the organizations that you belong to, if they have a partnership with CMS. So before we go out there, I want to take you through the steps so that you can get out there and find out where it is on the CMS website. So you're going to want to start out by going to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid website at cms.gov. Then across the top, you're going to see the topic Training and Education. If you click on that, you're going to receive a drop-down box, and that's going to include the Medicare Learning Network. Now here you can go directly to the different sections, but if you click on Resources and Training, it's going to take you to the MLN homepage. I will also tell you that partnerships, if you're looking for that, there is some hidden links in the other areas, but the easiest way to get to that section is to follow this path that I'm showing right here. So this slide is actually a link to the CMS website. So let's go out there and take a look. Okay, so we're going to go up to the top here. I'm going to click on Training and Education. We'll go to the MLN Network and then Resources and Training. So here we have the home page. I'm going to start out with the Publications and Multimedia. So again, if there's any certain topic that you'd like to see if they have information on, go ahead and add that to the chat and I'll check with Bailey in just a few minutes. As you can see across the top, you can see it can be sorted by date, topic, title, or format. There's also a filter on, so you can put something, if you want something specific, you can put that on in the search and see if it can pull something up for you. There are a couple that I want to make sure to show you. So the first one is the one that I brought up earlier, which is the Medicare Preventive Services tool. You can see there are related links for this tool, but we're going to go out here real quick. This is something that I show in all of my preventive services webinars. I do feel like it's very helpful for providers. I'm just going to go ahead and click on, let's do annual wellness visit. So if you want to find more information for the annual wellness visit, it does list HCPCS and CPT codes for billing that service. If there's any ICD-10 codes that would be required to be on the claim, you would see that in this section here. It tells you in what situations does Medicare cover this service, frequency. You can find patient copay amounts. And then there's also a section with other notes. This particular service, you have links to advanced care planning, the Medicare wellness visit. This is another educational tool. Here in red, this would be information that is new. They put that in red so that you can see what's been added. It also lists up here what has changed. So this, like I said, I find very useful, something that you can go out there and look at. We're going to go back now. If we go to page 2, Another one that I've used a lot is the Medicare wellness visits. There's were a lot of questions about components that were included. This particular education tool um, talks about the differences in the Medicare physical exams, what's covered, what's not. If we go down to annual wellness visits, it lists components. So this is something that can help you when you're working with billing for the annual wellness visits, kind of walks you through what's needed, things like that. Another one that I just want to point out real quickly that we get a lot of questions on, they actually have a guide for evaluation and management services. Um, so this would be something that could be really helpful for providers who have questions about evaluation and management. So was a few of the things that I wanted to specifically show you guys and let you know that they were out there. I'm going to check with Bailey. Has anybody put anything in the chat that they were looking for with this?
I'm not sure if it's specifically this, but there is a question about ESRD, kidney transplant, and transplant medications.
Let's see. I'm not finding anything on that, but we may find things somewhere else. I also want to put in here, if we sort it on topic, we do get a lot of providers who ask about rural health. Here we have provider compliance. So here, if you wanted to get information on rural health, they do have specific, there's fact sheets and booklets out here related to that. I know that is a topic that gets brought up in a lot of our webinars. It also gets added to surveys that people want more information on rural health billing. So I wanted to show you that that was also out here. I'm going to go back now to go back to the home page. Next, we're going to take a look at the web-based training. Now, it does state up here that they are no longer offering the continuing education units, but you can check with your organization. That is something that I would suggest you doing, just because if you take a look, this particular course is 120 minutes. 90 minutes. So they are courses that would take you a while to get through. So it would definitely be worth checking out to see if you could get continuing education units for this. But they have Medicare billing for if you're an institutional provider. If you're a professional provider, you can get information on that. They have fraud and abuse. Down at the very bottom here, SNF consolidated billing. I know that's a big topic. The world of Medicare. So they have just a class on learning the fundamentals of Medicare. So that may be something that would be good for somebody who's just started working for Medicare and is trying to kind of grasp everything of Medicare. There's just so much to it, and it changes a lot. So, that would also be a good education for somebody to take. Now, if we go to the MLN Matters articles, these I kind of feel are more, they're kind of like the policies that they send to everybody. Now, I'm not exactly sure what you in the provider world see when it comes to change requests and things like that. When change requests get sent out, they do get sent to the MACs. There are different departments who can get assigned a change request. And we have to document how we meet the changes that Medicare or that CMS is asking for. If we take a look at this first one here, this is a change to, I'm sorry, this is a change to one of the internet only manuals. So if you look at the actual transmittal that was sent out, it gives you details of what's changing. You can see this is 91 pages long, so that would be a lot to go through, but it is out there in case you're interested. They also have a link here for the form. So they made some changes to it. They're giving you a link. So if there's changes in forms, things that you're looking for, this may be a spot where you can find it. You can also see across the top here, you can sort based on transmittal number, the date it was issued, subject, implementation date. To me, that would be helpful because it's going to tell you when the changes are going to go into effect. If it's related to a particular change request or CR, that information would be out here. It also lets you know if there's provider education. So if we look down here, this one lets you know that they did an MLN Matters article on it, and that information was released on January 16th of this year. So if we go out here and we take a look at this one, although it does have the official change request out here that you could look at if you wanted to, this kind of gives you the background actions that are going to take place, things like that. But if this isn't something that you really want to dig through, you can go to the education article that CMS created. It's going to take just a minute to load here. I kind of find that they put these in more of a friendly format. It tells you what providers are affected. It gives you a section that tells you what action is needed. And then it does go into the background and things like that. But I just find if they've created a MedLearn education on it, I just find them easier to read and understand. So that is out there for you. Let's go back. The next section that I want to go over is the news. So the MLN Connects newsletter, this provides copies of the weekly newsletter that's sent out by CMS. This first link right here, you can enter your email address and subscribe to receive it. So then they will email it directly to you. A lot of us here in the PO team have signed up for this, so we do get these weekly emails. You can also find links to the MAC's website to get on the electronic email for that. Here it lists all the MACs for you, specialty contractors, so that's out there too. You can get on our mailing list. There's also a link for partners. We'll go into that a little bit more later, but that's going to take you to where we talked about partners, where they have partnerships with organizations. So that's a link there also. I'm just going to take a look here at the most recent newsletter so you can kind of see what's in here. So they have information on, they have news, they have compliance, claims, pricers and codes, publications. So they kind of break that down into different categories. I recently did a webinar on women's health. So here was one where they talked about cervical health. They provide links to the CDC. They give you what Medicare covers. So these links take you back to that preventive services education tool. They also provide some more information. So if you wanted to go to the CDC website, here's information for your parents or your patients, sorry, but just something that if you're interested in, if you want to stay up on the Medicare policies, procedures, changes, things like that. This would just be something that you could get weekly. You don't have to think about it. It just comes to your inbox. Let's go back. Next, we'll check out the provider compliance. So this first link, we go here, and this is for the CERT Outreach and Education Task Force. This is for the Comprehensive Error Rate Testing MAC Outreach and Education Task Force. This first link right here takes you to the Provider Customer Service Program. This is a program where each of the MACs, it starts off with the Provider Outreach and Education team. It's also Provider Contact Center, which would be customer service. And then they have the Provider Self-Service Technology, which those teams are the ones that work on the portal, DDE, things like that. So you can get information here, who administers it. This tells you what the MACs are. You can find MAC websites, which we went to earlier. Now, if you don't, I mean, you guys know who your contractor is, but it also lists here by state. So I'm in the state of Nebraska. So if I look at Nebraska, it gives me our websites for Part A and Part B. It gives you a link to Noridian's website, who would be the DME contractor for Nebraska. And then it also gives you links to the CGS website, who would be the Home Health and Hospice MAC for Nebraska. Here's links to our portals, so you can find that here. Electronic mailing list. If you wanted to get onto the electronic mailing list, it would take you, and you could sign up for that too. WPS does send out weekly e-news also, so that would be something else that you could sign up for if you were interested in that. If we scroll back up, go back. There's also a section here that says, how can I provide feedback about my MAC? So if you would like to provide feedback about our MAC, you can click on this link. It does take you to where you're submitting an email to CMS. So that would be something that you would want to, if you would want to provide feedback via email, that here's an area where you can do that. Down at the bottom here, it also provides you with a link to the chapter, the CMS manual for Provider Customer Service Program, if you would want more information about that. This link here for the CERT AB MAC Outreach and Education Task Force, here you can find some education material. At this time, they do not have any web-based training or events. The CERT contractors, I am not aware of them really holding that many webinars. It could happen. I know the RAC does it, but those would be listed out here if they would choose to have one. There was, if we scroll down here to the bottom of this, under the related links, we have the CERT C3 Hub. This is not something that I would have access to, but this is a portal that is operated by CMS, and it allows providers to access claim review status. You can submit medical records, and you can access information about CERT reviews. This second link here is a CMS View All Fast Facts. So here's provider compliance fast facts. So it has a bunch of different subjects if this is something that you're interested in. Advanced care planning talks about a report from the Inspector General. If you click on that, it'll actually take you out to that report and give you what the Office of the Inspector General found and what recommendations it has. So that's another place if that's topics that you're interested in that you can find out there. Let's go back. Here, if you want to find more information out about the CERT contractor, it also gives you a link for that. If that's something that you're interested in, gives you contact information. This is something that I also thought might be very helpful for providers. It's the Medicare Provider Compliance Tips Education Tool. This provides compliance tips for items and services, lets you know about medical necessity requirements. So you can see there is a lot of services out here, but I do want to take a look just to show you what's in there. We'll select the ambulatory surgical centers. So over here on the right, it tells you if there's any changes that have been made. So in this case, the improper payment rate and denial reason for 2023 was updated. You can see the changes are shown in red. Now for this topic, it gives some background. It tells you who the affected providers are. It gives background, gives the denial reason, gives you information on preventing denials, documentation requirements, what medical records, what must be included in the medical records, and then it gives you some resources. Recently, we got some questions on lipid panels. So if I open this one up, no changes have been made recently, but it kind of does the same thing. It tells you what providers are affected. It gives you a list to the NCD, gives you background. Here, it gives you denial reasons. So it talks about the Office of the Inspector General was finding issues with the payments, tells you how to prevent denials. So this is another resource that when I found this was out there, I thought that was something that could be very helpful to providers to help you avoid denials and things like that that you may get. Okay. So lastly, I want to take a look at the partnerships. The partnerships are organizations who have agreed to partner with CMS. They receive the weekly MLN Connects newsletter, and then they share that information with their members. So here you can see that CMS currently is partnered with 227 healthcare professional organizations. They do go and they list all of the organizations that they're associated with. So if you're interested in knowing if one of the organizations you belong to, if they partnered with CMS, then this is a place that you can go out and look. There is also, it lets you know that they can contact partners to give feedback about the newsletter content, delivery methods. There's a link here where you can contact CMS. There's also where you could another link for you to subscribe to the MLN Connects newsletter. Now I am going to reach out to Bailey since we're out here, just in case you guys do have questions. I want to stay here on this website. Has anything come through in the chat, Bailey?
No, nothing has come through.
Okay. Well, we will go ahead and go back to the presentation. Now, after the close of today's webinar, you are going to receive a thank you for attending email, and this is where you're going to find your proof of attendance for contact hours and continuing education units. There's also going to be a link here which will give you an opportunity to take a survey about today's webinar. If you don't get this email, please check your spam or junk folder. You will also need to add Messenger at webex.com to your safe sender list. That would avoid any issues in the future. Now, if you joined only by phone, you will not receive this email. So in that case, please send an email to the education mailbox with your name and phone number that you used to join so that a certificate can be sent out to you. Now, if you do have any issues later, I know normally we say if you have follow-up questions, which since this was a website navigation, you may not have follow-up questions. But if you do have go out there and you're trying to look for something and you're having issues with it, please send something into our education mailbox and let us know, and we can try to help you out with that. If you put something in today's or in the subject that it is for the MLN Connects webinar, then they will know that that is for me and they'll send it directly to me so that I can help you out. Now, when you disconnect from the webinar, you will be redirected to a CMS survey. I'm also having Bailey add a link into the chat. And your feedback really does mean a lot to us. We review what you have to say and we do our best to make the changes that you ask for. This is also an opportunity for you to let us know what topics you'd like to see us provide education on in the future. So if there's something specific, please put that in there. Also, if you have ideas that you think would improve how you receive your education, be sure to tell us that too. The redirect is going to look like what you see right here, kind of in the bottom middle. We don't have any control over how this appears, so we just want you to know that it's not spam and it's nothing malicious. Well, that brings us to the end of today's presentation. On behalf of myself, Bailey, and the Provider Outreach and Education team, I would like to thank you for being here today, and I hope that you will join us for future events. You may now disconnect.